Most people were watching the ceremony. The outfits, the carriage, the royal protocol. But a quiet moment between Princess Kate and Prince William almost went unnoticed. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because right in the middle of a highly formal state visit, they shared something completely private. It happened just as they joined the welcoming line in Windsor. Everything was perfectly staged. The Nigerian president, Bola Tinubu, and his wife had just arrived. The national anthem was playing. Cameras everywhere. And yet, William leaned in. Kate turned slightly toward him. They moved closer, just enough to whisper. No one else reacted. No one interrupted. And then they smiled. A quick exchange, a quiet joke, a soft laugh between them. Blink and you miss it. But that moment felt different, because it didn't look rehearsed. It didn't look like protocol. It looked like them. What made it even more interesting was how natural it felt. This is something they've done for years. A glance, a whisper, a shared smile. Almost like a language only they understand. And somehow, even in one of the most formal royal settings, they still find a way to stay connected. They don't break protocol. They don't draw attention. But they don't lose each other either. That balance isn't easy. And then came another moment, even more subtle, even easier to miss. As they approached the carriage ready to continue the ceremonial procession, Kate stepped forward. And William followed. Just for a second. He placed his hand gently on the small of her back, guiding her, steadying her as she stepped up. It was quick, almost invisible, but it said everything. Not just formality, not just duty, but instinct. Care, familiarity, something quietly affectionate. The kind of gesture that doesn't need attention, because it's always there. And all of this was happening during a very significant moment. This wasn't just another royal appearance. This was the first Nigerian state visit to the UK in nearly 40 years. A rare and symbolic occasion, even more unusual. It took place during Ramadan, something that hasn't happened in almost a century for a visiting leader. Every detail mattered, from the carriage procession through Windsor, to the guard of honour, to the carefully chosen outfits. Kate's look in particular carried meaning. She wore a design by British-Nigerian designer Tolu Coker, a quiet diplomatic gesture, a nod of respect. Elegant, thoughtful, intentional. Everything was designed to send a message. But just as the moment seemed perfectly smooth, there was an underlying layer many people didn't notice. Because the Nigerian First Lady Oluremi Tinubu had previously sparked controversy. Comments she made about young women, about dressing, about identity, even mentioning Meghan, at one point saying, "They don't know where they come from. Why did Meghan come here looking for Africa?" The remarks drew attention and questions, even though her office later clarified her words. The moment lingered, and now here she was, standing beside Kate in one of the most watched royal events. But what made everything feel even more interesting was how none of that tension showed on the surface. No awkwardness, no visible distance, just composed smiles, measured gestures. And in the middle of it all, that quiet moment between William and Kate. A whisper, a smile, a hand on her back. Almost like a reminder that behind all the ceremony, all the diplomacy, all the history being made, there's still something very real, very human. Because sometimes the most powerful moments aren't the grand ones. They're the ones almost no one notices. A shared joke, a quiet touch, a look that says more than words ever could. And in a day filled with symbolism and tradition, it was that tiny private connection that people are still talking about.